Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something a lot of you have actually asked about: how to boost positivity. Uh, Teamwork. You sent us John Gordon's The Energy Bus, and, well, we've really honed in on George's journey to pull out the key lessons.
Mm,
Think of this as like your shortcut to understanding how to fuel your life, work, and team with positive energy.
right. And for you, the listener, if you're looking for real practical ways to spark that positivity and collaboration without getting, totally overwhelmed by theory, this deep dive is pretty much tailor-made. We focused on pulling out clear, engaging takeaways you can use like right away.
Okay, so I'll be kind of guiding us through George's story, pointing out those moments and examples that really hit home.
And I'll be here analyzing what's going on underneath, providing some context, and crucially explaining why these ideas actually matter to you.
Okay, let's get into it. We meet George, and it's a Monday. A really bad Monday. Flat tire, stressful morning at home sounds familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's dreading this huge meeting at his company, NRG. You can just feel the negativity coming off him.
Oh, absolutely. And it's more than just, a typical bad Monday. George is dealing with some serious marital problems, and there's a real threat of him losing his job because his team's not performing. He's kind of hit rock bottom. For you, maybe think about times when you've felt similarly overwhelmed.
Yeah. Then comes this turning point. He has to take the bus, reluctantly. And on this bus, number 11, he meets Joy. Now, Joy is, well, she's something else. Pure positivity. And she immediately calls George out on his negativity. Her line: every flat tire happens for a reason. You can choose to see the curse or the gift.
Wow, that one sentence really cuts to the core, doesn't it? It just highlights the power you have, your choice and perspective, even when things, go wrong. What struck you about that first meeting?
For me, it was just the stark contrast. Joy's relentless optimism versus George just grumbling away. It's almost funny. In George's first reaction, just dismissing her, thinking she's out of touch, scoffing at choosing wisely, it's so relatable, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. When you're deep in that negative headspace, it's hard to even hear positive messages. George just shutting her down shows how stuck we can get in our own mindset, how resistant we can be to these simple, powerful shifts.
Right. Okay, so fast forward a bit. George gets on the bus again, but Joy's not there. Turns out she's taking care of her dad, who's got memory loss. It's a pretty stark reminder, actually, that even those positive people face real, serious difficulties.
Exactly. That adds such an important layer to Joy. Her positivity isn't about, like, pretending challenges don't exist. It's about how she chooses to deal with them. It really underlines the idea that positivity is a conscious, resilient choice you make.
And then George finally meets Joy again, and this is where it really kicks off. She shows him the 10 rules for the ride of your life, posted right there on the bus sign. These are the principles we're really digging into today.
Yeah, and what's great is these rules aren't some like abstract philosophy, right? They're framed as practical day-to-day advice, all within this familiar bus journey metaphor. It makes them super accessible, relatable for you, the listener.
Okay, rule number 1, you're the driver of your bus. Simple, right? It's all about taking control of your life. Stop letting stuff just happen to you. Joy's message is clear. George, you got to be proactive. You got to steer.
Yeah, that rule directly tackles that feeling of being a victim. It's so easy to feel like life's just throwing things at you, but Joy is saying, look, you always have choices about your attitude, your actions, even when things are tough. Think about it. For you listening, where might you feel more like a passenger than the driver?
And to really drive this home, Joy shares this research from Marty. Apparently, more people die on Monday morning at 9 a.m. than any other time. It's a shocking statistic, honestly.
Yeah.
Joy uses it to highlight how dissatisfied people are with work, feeling like they lack control.
It's a really powerful stat, yeah. It underscores the potential impact of feeling powerless, unfulfilled. For you, it just emphasizes how important it is to find some agency, some purpose in your day-to-day. Even small steps towards feeling more in control can make a huge difference to your well-being.
And George, his first reaction, predictable maybe, resistance. He starts listing all the reasons he feels trapped: job, family, It's a common feeling though, isn't it?
Totally. It's easy to feel bogged down by responsibilities, but Joy's comeback is crucial. You do have a choice. You can choose to steer differently, even if it feels impossible right now. That first step is often the hardest part.
And that first step, Joy says, is knowing where you actually want to go.
Mhm.
So she gives George homework: write down his vision for his life, his work, his relationships. It's about making a clear map in your head.
Exactly. Clarity equals power. When you define what you really want in those key areas, you start focusing your energy, your intentions. Have you personally ever actually sat down and written out your vision like that? It can be incredibly eye-opening.
Which leads nicely into Joy explaining that life is basically all about energy. She talks about people, some drain you, some lift you up food, work projects. Everything has an energetic impact.
This is such a key insight. Realizing everything works on an energy level helps you become more conscious of those exchanges in your own life, like who or what consistently leaves you feeling drained or energized. Just knowing that is the first step to managing your energy better.
She even uses sports examples. You can feel the energy of a team, a crowd. It makes this slightly abstract idea feel really concrete.
Precisely. You can literally feel momentum shift in a game, right? Or the buzz of a crowd. Joy is just connecting that gut feeling to the bigger picture of personal and professional energy.
So George actually does the homework. He starts defining his vision for his marriage. He imagines laughing again, remembering why they fell in love. For work, a successful launch for NRG's new product.
These are tangible, positive goals in the areas that really matter to him. Just saying them out loud or writing them down gives direction and motivation. What are some key areas where you'd like to see positive change in your life right now?
And Joy offers this really important reframe. This crisis George is in, it's not just bad, it's an opportunity, a chance to grow, to come out stronger.
That changes how you see challenges, doesn't it? Instead of just obstacles, you start looking for the learning, the development hidden inside. Often our biggest growth spurts come from navigating those really tough times.
Okay, this brings us to rule #2. Desire, vision, and focus. Move your bus in the right direction. Joy really hammers home the power of focus here. She says our thoughts are kind of magnetic. What we focus on, we tend to attract.
Right. This taps into that idea where attention goes, energy flows. Joy isn't talking about like magic, but about how your focus shapes what you notice, and that ultimately guides your actions.
Exactly. She uses that simple example. Think about a specific type of car, and suddenly you see it everywhere. It's like your brain just tunes into it.
That's a perfect illustration of selective attention. And Marty's research on Olympic athletes backs this up. Visualization, mentally rehearsing success, it really boosts performance. It's about creating that strong mental blueprint.
The "we're winners, not whiners" chant on the bus is another piece of this, shifting the group focus away from complaining towards being proactive and positive.
It's simple, but really effective for redirecting collective energy. For you listening, it could just be a reminder to consciously shift your own internal talk or your team's focus towards solutions instead of getting stuck on problems.
But George, ever the skeptic, still wonders, can just thinking differently really fix years of negativity and his actual real problems?
Yeah.
It's a fair question, isn't it?
It is. It's totally natural to feel like positive thinking alone isn't enough. But Joy's point isn't about ignoring reality. It's about creating a positive internal environment that empowers you to act more effectively, to see opportunities you might otherwise just miss.
Okay, rule #3 is about fuel. Fuel your ride with positive energy. And Joy gives this simple formula. E plus P equals energy plus passion equals outcomes. Positive energy is like high-octane fuel. Negativity is sludge in the engine.
That equation just nails a basic truth. Your internal state directly impacts your external results. Without positive energy, without real passion, even the best strategies can just fizzle out. How would you rate your own energy and passion levels in the things you're working on right now?
And what about that negative energy sludge? Joy's advice. Direct. Put it in the trash. Actively discard negative thoughts, negative influences. She tells that great story about the two dogs, one positive, one negative, reminding us the one you feed is the one that gets stronger.
That analogy is so powerful because it puts the control back in your hands. You choose which inner voice gets the attention. Are you consciously feeding your positive dog or your negative one each day?
This is also when George gets that energy book full of quick 10-minute exercises. His first try is the thank you walk, deliberately focusing on gratitude. And he feels better, like immediately.
The thank you walk is super practical, something you can do right now. Cultivating gratitude is genuinely proven to shift your focus and lift your mood. The book also talks about the one great golf shot theory, focusing on the good moments in your day, not dwelling on the fails. It's about training your brain to look for the positive.
It's like choosing to replay the highlights reel of your day instead of the blooper reel, right?
Exactly. And over time, that deliberate shift actually rewires your brain to notice more of the good stuff automatically.
Okay, now things shift towards the team. Joy and the other passengers actually offer to help George with his big product launch. And Janice, a teacher on the bus, comes up with this idea of e-bus tickets, a way for George to formally invite people on his bus. meaning his team.
Yeah, the bus ticket becomes this really cool, tangible symbol. It represents an invitation, a shared commitment. It's a way to consciously pick and invite people whose energy and skills align with where you're going.
And the critical part here is communicating your vision clearly. If people don't get where the bus is headed, why would they hop on?
Precisely. You need a compelling, clear vision to build a motivated team. People want to feel part of something bigger, and they need to understand their role in it.
So Joy advises George,
Hmm.
send e-tickets to your boss, your team, initially with no message, just to spark curiosity. Then meet one-on-one, share the vision, give them a physical ticket, and ask them to return it by Monday if they're truly on the bus. It's a clear call for commitment. What do you think of that strategy?
It creates this really powerful moment of choice, and accountability. It moves beyond just being on a team to actively committing to the team's direction. For you listening, think about how you could create a similar moment to really gauge your own team's engagement.
So George had this very long weekend, does a lot of thinking. He finds inspiration in an Abraham Lincoln quote, "I am not bound to win, I am bound to be true." It helps him focus on his effort, his integrity, not just the outcome.
That quote's a great anchor when things feel uncertain. It shifts focus from results, which you often can't totally control, to your values and your commitment, which you can control.
Monday morning comes. George gets his answers. Larry and Tom, surprisingly, say yes, they're in. But Michael, Jamie, and Jose, and this really hurts George, especially Jose, they refuse. They basically say, your bus is going to crash and we don't want to be on it. Ouch.
Yeah, that's harsh, but it's a crucial reality check for George. The people he might have counted on are saying they don't have faith. It reveals some deep-seated issues with trust, and it shows him just how much change is needed. Have you ever had a moment like that where you faced unexpected resistance?
George is, understandably, crushed. But Joy hits him with some tough love. You haven't failed until you stop trying, George. Such a vital reminder about resilience.
Mm-hmm. Joy immediately pulls George back into that proactive mode. Setbacks happen, it's how you respond that matters, and this leads straight into rule #4. No energy vampires allowed on your bus. Protecting your positive energy becomes critical.
And Marty chimes in with another sobering stat. Gallup estimates negative employees cost the U.S. economy something like $300 billion a year in lost productivity. It really quantifies the damage negativity can do in the workplace.
And it's not just about the money, right? Negative energy drags down morale, kills creativity, makes the whole environment toxic. For you, it just underlines how important it is to spot and deal with negativity in your own world.
Rule #5 builds right on that. Don't waste your energy on those who don't get on your bus. Focus on the people who are committed.
Your energy isn't limitless. It's way more effective to invest it in the people who are aligned with you rather than burning yourself out trying to convince those who just aren't willing. Where might you be draining your energy on resistant people?
Which brings us to rule #6. Post a sign that says no energy vampires allowed on your bus. This isn't just like a mental note. It's about actively setting boundaries and making it clear that persistent negativity isn't okay.
This takes real assertiveness, a commitment to building a positive space. It means creating a culture where feedback is fine, but constant undermining negativity isn't. Joy says give people a chance, sure, but be ready to make tough calls if they don't change.
And Joy gives George a concrete plan. Talk directly to Larry and Tom, the surprise yes votes despite their past negativity, and also talk again to Michael, Jamie, and Jose. Give them one last chance to get on board positively.
This is George really stepping up, taking direct action. It shows a huge shift in his leadership from avoiding conflict to confronting the negativity head on.
As Joy drops George off, she shares what she calls the ultimate rule of positive energy. Your positive energy and vision have to be stronger than anyone's and everyone's negativity. Your belief must outweigh their doubt.
That is the absolute core of leading through challenges, isn't it? Your unwavering positive conviction can be this incredibly powerful force that overcomes obstacles and pulls others along.
George puts this into action right away. He's meeting with Larry. His negativity is just too deep-rooted. Termination. Tom. When George challenges him, he quits. These are tough calls.
Incredibly tough, but sometimes essential for the team's health. It shows George is really committing to these principles now, even when it's hard.
His talk with Jamie is a real game changer, though. She agrees to stay, but she gives him some brutally honest feedback about his own past negativity. It forces George to see his part in the team's problems.
That's huge for George's development. Owning his contribution to the mess, that's real leadership. It paves the way for genuine change. And it's a reminder for all of us, leading with positive energy starts with looking in the mirror.
And then Jose. He reveals he felt completely unappreciated. This hits George hard. Makes him realize how crucial recognition and valuing people really is.
Jose's feedback points to something critical in leadership, making people feel seen, feel valued. Simple acknowledgement, appreciation, they're powerful motivators. They can stop negativity before it even starts.
Reflecting on all this, George remembers advice from an old lacrosse coach. The goal isn't to be better than anyone else, but just be better than you were yesterday. That becomes his personal mantra. Focus on constant improvement.
That's such a sustainable, healthy approach to growth, isn't it? Focusing on your own progress instead of constantly comparing yourself to others. It fosters a much more positive, resilient mindset.
The next day on the bus, it's a different vibe. George is met with this chant. I feel great, yes. I feel great, yes. Joy explains emotion, energy, and motion. Taking control of our emotions is key to fueling that positive energy.
Right. It emphasizes the active role you play in your emotional state. By consciously choosing positive emotions, you generate more positive energy, which then fuels positive actions. It's a cycle.
She really highlights cultivating feelings like joy, happiness, enthusiasm, gratitude, passion, excitement, reminding George that just his presence, when it's positive, is a gift to others.
Your emotional state ripples outwards. When you radiate genuine positive energy, it tends to lift everyone around you. Think about the effect a truly positive person has when they walk into a room.
But George still feels something's missing in his leadership. He feels better, the team's responding a bit, but not fully. Joy's answer, lead with heart. Go beyond just managing tasks. Truly connect with and inspire your team.
This points to a deeper level of leadership, doesn't it? Moving from just transactional, do this, get that, to being based on real care and connection. It's about tapping into people's inner motivation.
Marty shares some research here from the Institute of Heart Math. Apparently, the heart's electromagnetic field is way stronger than the brain's. It suggests our emotions have a real powerful impact on others around us.
That offers a kind of scientific backing for leading with heart. Your feelings aren't just internal, they have this tangible, energetic effect on your interactions.
Then Jack, who's been quiet on the bus, speaks up. He tells George it's time to become the chief energy officer of NRG in spirit anyway. He shares his own story. Huge corporate success, but totally burnt out until he met Joy and embraced these ideas.
Jack's story is a really compelling, real-world example. He lived the limits of success without heart, without genuine connection and purpose.
Jack then shares rule #7. Enthusiasm attracts more passengers and energizes them during the ride. Genuine enthusiasm, he says, is contagious, vital for leadership.
Yeah, genuine enthusiasm, the kind that comes from real belief, real passion, that's incredibly motivating. It creates excitement, gets others to buy into the vision. Think about times someone's enthusiasm just swept you up.
Okay, rule #8, love your passengers. This one sounds maybe a bit much for work, but it's about becoming a love magnet by truly caring for employees, customers, the company itself.
It might sound unconventional in a business setting, yeah, but really it boils down to fostering a culture of trust, respect, genuine care. Jack gives 5 practical ways to show this love. Trust them, listen to them, appreciate and recognize them, serve them, and bring out the best in them. Which of those really jumps out at you for your own situation?
George is still a bit skeptical about love at work, understandably, but Joy clarifies it's about focusing on helping each person reach their potential. She uses this great metaphor of a dusty rock. The gold is already inside, the leader just helps wipe away the dust to reveal it.
That metaphor is so insightful. It shifts the focus completely. You're not trying to change people. You're creating the conditions for their own innate talents and strengths to emerge. It's about seeing the potential, the gold in everyone.
So George is gearing up for his big presentation, that make-or-break moment. Self-doubt starts creeping back in, but then Michael shows up. The guy who refused to get on the bus. He asks for another chance. It feels like a sign, like obstacles are genuinely dissolving.
Wow, Michael coming back, that's huge. It speaks volumes about the power of forgiveness, the possibility of turning things around. It shows that even those who are initially resistant can be won over when they see real positive change.
The next day, Joy hits George with rule #9, drive with purpose. Marty shares a study about airplane design teams. The ones with a strong, shared vision performed way better. So George decides, instead of telling his team their purpose, he'll empower them to define it together.
That's smart. Empowering the team to craft their own purpose creates way more ownership and commitment than just dictating it from above. It builds a shared why that really drives motivation.
And it works. The team gets incredibly inspired. They collaborate and define their purpose as something much bigger than just making light bulbs. They're aiming for greatness, developing leaders, chief energy officers, and sharing light with the world. You can just imagine the energy shift in that room.
That collective creation of purpose, it forges this powerful shared identity, gives meaning to the work, and aligns everyone towards an inspiring goal. Have you ever been on a team that had that kind of clarity and shared purpose? It's electric.
Finally, it's presentation day, game day.
Mm.
Joy's last bit of advice is rule #10.
Yeah.
Have fun and enjoy the ride. She stresses gratitude, too blessed to be stressed, and choosing trust over fear. They meet Eddie, the super energetic 88-year-old, who's like a living example of savoring life and leaving a positive legacy.
Eddie just embodies that whole idea of living with joy and purpose, no matter your age. His presence really reinforces the importance of finding enjoyment in the journey itself, not just focusing on the destination.
And the presentation, it's a huge success. The executives are blown away. George has this realization. Somewhere along the way, he stopped just being a manager and actually became a leader.
That successful presentation is the concrete result of George's whole transformation, putting those 10 rules into practice. It really validates the power of positive energy, and leading with heart, it gets results.
George reflects on the whole journey, understanding now how even the flat tire, the initial struggles, were necessary steps. He gets the importance of focusing on the present, filling life with joy. He even calls his mom, just to tell her he loves her, a really personal sign of how deep the change goes.
Yeah, that highlights how these principles aren't just for work, are they? They impact everything. Personal fulfillment, relationships. It's holistic.
So George goes back to the energy bus, shares his success. They put up a permanent sign with the 10 rules.
Yeah.
Michael, the guy who came back, decides he's taking the bus from now on. And Joy. She just keeps driving, ready for the next person who needs her help.
The ending really reinforces the lasting impact of Joy's wisdom, doesn't it? And the idea that this is an ongoing journey, positive energy, continuous improvement.
Okay, so for you, our listener, let's boil down the key takeaways from George's wild ride. First, remember, you are the driver. Take the wheel. Second, get clear on your vision and actively focus your energy positively. Third, fuel up with optimism, trust, enthusiasm, and yes, even care.
Fourth, deal with negativity directly. Surround yourself with positive people. Fifth, lead with heart. Show appreciation. Look for the best in people. And finally, sixth, drive with purpose, know your why, and crucially, don't forget to enjoy the ride.
So think about it right now. How can you apply these 10 rules in your life, your work, your teams? What's your vision? Who do you need on your bus? And take a second to really consider the goal that's already inside you and inside the people around you.
And here's our final thought for you to chew on. What dust, maybe limiting beliefs, negative self-talk, draining relationships, might be covering up the gold in your life or your team right now? And what's just one small, concrete action you could take, maybe even today, to start wiping some of that dust away?